Yo guys, what's up? Today we have reached the most heroic point in human history that took place on June 6th, 1944, also known as D-Day and the longest day. In the early morning, after a total of 5,000 tons of Allied bombs had been dropped onto the gun positions protecting the Normandy coastline, the biggest armada in history left the shore of England. Operation Neptune was originally planned for June 5th, but an unforgivingly rough North Sea forced all the boats to turn around and to keep floating around for 24 hours, with thousands of soldiers aboard. Seas were a bit calmer on June 6th, but still it would be a hellish mission, with many troops who would never be fully prepared for this mission. Operation Neptune, the journey across the English Channel, was carried out by 7,000 ships, 20,000 airplanes that covered the ships, and 130,000 soldiers. Before the mission began, a total of 20,000 paratroopers had been dropped as well, Americans near Cherbourg and Brits near Caen, with the idea of surprising the Germans in their back, but this plan turned out to be a gruesome nightmare. For Operation Overlord after Operation Neptune, there were 5 landing points, with Sword Beach and Gold Beach in East Normandy for the British troops, Juno Beach in between for the Canadians, and Utah Beach and Omaha Beach in West Normandy for USA. Also, 300 Canadians lost their lives at Juno Beach, but that was the easiest entry point. The rest of the battalion was able to liberate the very first French beach house at Bayeux. But this was a night and day difference to the situation on bloody Omaha Beach, where the Big Red 1 Division and the 116th Army Division were the very first soldiers to reach French ground. Even though there were only 150 German troops stationed at Omaha, they still managed to kill 3,000 American heroes in 4 hours' time. At 6 o'clock the massacre had begun, with even the waves of the North Sea working against the Americans, and by 10 o'clock the Germans had run out of ammunition. More and more waves of US troops arrived at Omaha, while injured soldiers were hiding at the bottom of the cliffs, until the remaining Germans were forced to surrender and to join the injured Americans on the cliffs. The German POWs were treated with respect, just like the Geneva Convention dictated. The reason why so few Germans were stationed at Omaha was the fact that Hitler was certain that Calais would be the main entry point, and all of his troops were concentrated at Calais. Also, Hitler was fast asleep on the morning of June 6th, and nobody dared to wake him up before 9 o'clock. For a few hours, the troops from Omaha were stuck and unable to go for the adjacent city of Isigny. The Brits had been ordered to push through to Caen right away, but General Montgomery cancelled that order. After the bloody reports that had reached Commander-in-Chief Ike Eisenhower, Montgomery did not feel like sacrificing innocent lives for Caen. An offensive would be avoided until July 13th, but after the reports of Omaha, there was more sad news for the USA, because 20% of their paratroopers were killed during their drop over the Cotentin Peninsula. Half their equipment was lost as well. Also, the British paratroopers were unfortunate. They were captured by the Germans because of Montgomery's inactivity at the beach. They had been randomly dropped over Caen and Ouistreham and were totally scattered. The US troops in Omaha received support to clear out Isigny and the notorious Pointe du Hoc between Omaha and Utah Beach, before linking up with the Utah Division and going for Cherbourg. Too many young and inexperienced German troops, a bad strategy, and an Atlantic wall without Field Marshal Rommel caused the Germans to lose this battle, even though they had flooded the entire region by blowing up the dams. Rommel had requested to keep the Panther divisions close to the beaches to drive the enemy back into the sea immediately after a landing, but he had been overruled by Field Marshal Gerd von Rundstedt, who used the panzers for defense of the cities, not the coastline. As a matter of fact, Rommel wasn't even there. He was in Germany for his wife's birthday and only arrived in Normandy in the afternoon, post-haste. D-Day cost the lives of 10,500 Allied troops and nearly as many Germans, but despite the heavy losses, the mission could begin, driving the Germans back to the Seine River and the Loire River. USA still had its game face on, but the Canadians and Brits started to slack off right after securing the beach. One of the reasons why Caen wasn't taken by the Brits until August 6th, 2 months after D-Day. But the aftermath of the Allied landing was felt by Stalin, because on June 9th, Finland rejected another Soviet armistice and forced Stalin into another major offensive. D-Day was the most heroic event in history. Rest in peace, Allied heroes. See you on the next one, guys. Peace.